Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson, and available wherever podcasts can be found. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube, and also smash that like button, preferably an odd number of times, so that we can reach...
just a number of times. Even number of times. It won't stick.
I'm not going to tell people what to do, man, especially in this day and age, brother. Let's try to get this one up to 500 likes. And the only way we can get it to 500 likes is if you smash it an odd number of times. But if you want to do an even number of times, I'm not going to say you can't do that. You do what you want to do. What do I care?
I'm not going to tell them they can't do that. I just ask, like, really sincerely, odd number of times. Please. Thank you.
And if you're listening to this audio realm, be sure to leave us a rating, review, or a comment. That goes a long way towards helping Going In Raw. And if you want to leave us a Matt Chat question, which is, hey, this is Matt Chat. We're going to be answering questions. Where do we find those questions, Larson?
Patreon, specifically $20 and up patrons, essential to the production of this episode of the show, and specifically this episode. So if you want to be an essential part of Going In Raw Matt Chat, $20 and up patrons, you get that comic book Steve has in his paws right there. It's a comic book, the story of which can only be told in the page of the comic book. It would cost way too much money to make that into a major motion picture, much less a TV show. An 8x10 signed by Larson, apparently. You get a sticker of the OG Going In Raw logo, as well as a postcard. That one is at least probably signed by both of us.
I think I've been giving out, maybe those are just for the $50 patrons. Anyways, and then if you want, like you said, your Matt Chat question, you can get answered right here on the show. Speaking of which, we got a bunch of questions today, Larson. Who's kicking us off?
Matt Field's kicking us off. Let's see what Matt Field has to say.
Hey, Stephen Larson, hope you're keeping safe. It's the British barman, Matt Field, with the Matt Chat question. My question today is with the WWE going back to the live schedule now because of Vince McMahon's orders. What do you think it will take for him to be stopped in terms of what will convince him to put his wrestlers first before the money? I would love to hear your thoughts. Enjoy.
Thank you, Matt Field.
Thank you, Matt Field. So just in general, historically speaking, nothing has been able to convince Vince McMahon to put wrestlers before money, to put human lives before money.
His bottom line.
The only thing that'll convince him to take into consideration the human element here is money. If he
explain yourself, because I'm curious about what such a situation or a scenario would be. So please tell me what this would entail.
I don't know if his stock price tanked, if his if he was in danger of losing the company. Man, so much of his business seems to be just stitched together in a remarkably short amount of time. Things have seemingly gone south, and he's able to pull a rabbit out of his hat every once in a while, like this whole essential business. But he had that 10-year Saudi Arabia deal, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But considering WWE Network isn't even airing in Saudi Arabia at this time, I'm not even sure how solid that deal is. And we've also heard that they take a long time to actually pay the WWE. So who knows how solid that deal actually is. Unless he's forced to do it, and in which case that's threatening his pocketbook, then Vince is never going to put humans over money. That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Never going to happen. He's putting wrestlers. Tuesdays, Wrestling Observer Radio did a great job of breaking down the scenarios WWE talents face themselves with currently, and it illuminates how little seemingly Vince actually cares about the individual well-being of these wrestlers in comparison to keeping his company afloat and making money. So one scenario, of course, is they go to these weekly tapings and resign themselves to the fact that they're going to have to reside in Orlando for the duration of these tapings. So they go to tapings, they go back to their hotel, quarantine for the week, and then repeat week after week, not seeing their families at all. Second option, They do the taping on a weekly basis, fly back home, then go to a hotel to quarantine until the next taping. So effectively, you're living in your hometown in a hotel away from your family, not be able to see them because you're quarantining yourself. Next option, you don't worry about quarantine. You do these shows, you fly home and potentially risk exposing your entire family to this virus. Not a good option. Lastly, you tell Vince, not comfortable with this, and you risk future retribution at the hands of Vince McMahon. Not a good scenario amongst any of them.
Can I suggest one thing?
What?
So, like, we speak about this in terms of, is Vince putting wrestlers over money, money over wrestlers? Does he care about the wrestlers?
Hold on a second. Go ahead. Okay, sorry. Continue.
I'm going to suggest this. I'm not sure if it's a matter necessarily of what's in the man's heart. I think it might be more of a matter of he doesn't really trust that a lot of this stuff is real. And so to him, it doesn't occur. Oh, people can really get hurt by this thing. And so I need to make sure. I wonder if he just thinks they'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this isn't real.
No. Like I said, the thing about him not believing in being sick, I think that's for him a matter of mind over matter. If he feels like, well, I got a cold, I'll push through it. Being sick is just it's all about how you shape one's reality. I think that's how I interpret it. Not that he doesn't believe in germs, but that he just thinks being sick is up here as opposed to viruses and bacteria going through your bloodstream.
Yeah, which still applies to what I said.
To a degree, but it's not to the same degree as like I don't believe that what's going on now is a real threat. It doesn't take. Granted, I don't know how much he reads the papers. Maybe not at all, and maybe that's more of an issue. Is not so much that he doesn't believe in illness, is that he's so because in Dark Side of the Ring they said Jim Cornette speculated that Vince hasn't been to a movie theater in 40 years, hasn't been to a grocery store in 40 years. I don't know if he reads the news. I don't know if he follows up on anything apart from what's going on in his company. Well, I know he doesn't follow wrestling as a whole very much. So maybe it's a situation where he is, I'm speculating here, ill-informed. Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think that I don't know. I think that he's wired really, really oddly. And that's not, and I'm not making an excuse for the guy because, anybody with common sense, I just think that he doesn't have traditional common sense. I think he's got non-traditional, non-common sense.
And the thing about Vince, too, is I feel like
here's the thing. Let me get this out real quick. One thing that we do know about him is that, and this has been told many times over, he would never ask a wrestler to do something he wouldn't do. Yeah. And so it's as if he holds the wrestlers to his own oddball standards. He's not staying at home for this stuff. And so his thing is, if I'm not going to stay at home, why wouldn't the wrestlers? Which is completely whack. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, and I think this is also my thing. I'm not going to presume to understand what goes on in the guy's heart. That being said, his actions will lead us to the conclusion that he has no problem putting these people at risk.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Continue your point.
I think there is some measure of humanity within the vessel of Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
We've heard numerous stories of him having real human connections with people. Sometimes fleeting, sometimes not. Even Brody Lee says you get on the phone with him and you could spend 2 hours talking to him, and it's a very person-to-person human interaction. Issue is that seems to exist in an entirely different universe in terms of than how he conducts his business. It seems like he compartmentalizes to such an extent. His business is in his mind, his business is a self-contained thing, seemingly separate from the individuals who work for him. And it seemed like he's always kind of made that delineation. He can have personal relationships, friendships with wrestlers that work for him. That being said, in situations like this, for example, he'll still say, "All right, we're gonna go to work."
It'd be great.
And you have 4 really bad options on your table in terms of how you want to approach this.
You know what I'd die for if I was a billionaire? I would throw all the money in the world at Paul Thomas Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis to make a Vince McMahon movie where you really get, because there are some really complex, odd things happening there.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want, because there was talk of a Vince McMahon biopic that was then co-opted by the WWE.
You want an unauthorized thing.
Exactly. You need something that, or even something akin to The Master, where you're taking a fiction inspired by, exactly. But you really try to get to the root of everything that's gone on in his life, everything we know of, everything we've heard of, and try to figure out what that is, whether it's here, or a combination thereof, the head, the heart, whatever. Mm-hmm. What is this? Because everything about Vince and a lot of stuff, I mean, look, pro wrestling is an oddball thing in the first place. It really is. The fact that
it truly is.
There are some things some forms of entertainment that just are the natural byproduct of the advancement of technology and creativity, movies, TV, music, right?
YouTube.
As an extension of film narratives or film whatever. Wrestling is one of those weird things where it sprung up, it was legitimate, then it was not legitimate, and it just went from there. And it is such a singularly odd thing. And it's just chock full of weird personalities. And Vince McMahon is seemingly just sort of the epitome of all that, Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting to see somebody try to tackle that.
Yeah, that'd be fascinating because Vince is a seemingly endlessly complex individual.
Mm-hmm.
And try to get to the bottom of whatever his mental processes is for anything, what his mindset is for any decision is like you need to. Yeah, that's a movie unto itself.
Mm-hmm.
Next, got a question from Jacksonville's
number one,
Gian Halili.
Hey there, friendos. This is Jacksonville's number one Matt Chatter. Gian Halili back with another Matt Chat question. This week, what I want to know is Seth Rollins the right first opponent / feud for Drew McIntyre? Or could there have been another person? Just curious what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. Too sweet, too good. Everybody stay safe. We'll get through it. Later, guys.
Thank you, Gian Halili.
Thank you, Gian. Is Seth the right first feud for Drew McIntyre? I say yes. As mentioned in our Raw recap, following his loss to Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, there's a massive hole in Seth Rollins right now. He presents himself as the Monday Night Messiah, the savior of Monday Night Raw. Yet in this battle against Kevin Owens, he lost. And in doing so, his legitimacy as the savior of Monday Nights is in question. What better way to reestablish that legitimacy than getting the top title on Raw? So if you view the story through that prism, it makes all the sense in the world for Seth to feel entitled that he can jump to the front of the line, even though he just came off a loss to Kevin Owens, because he's out for a grander goal than just winning the title. He's out to prove that he could save the dang show itself. So in that sense, yes. And how many times have we seen, I've talked about this a while back, how many times have we seen someone win the title and then their first feud after winning is kind of a letdown?
Yeah,
Daniel Bryan went through 3 Hall of Famers at WrestleMania 30, and I know he had history with Kane, and Kane is awesome. Feuding with Kane after beating Triple H, Batista, and Randy Orton one night, bit of a letdown.
Yeah, and even the way they framed that, it was like it was like in the mid card. It was very much sort of buried within the first episode back. Yeah.
And I'm happy they've gotten away from that. Not to say your answer is a step down. I love Andrade, but if you want to establish Drew immediately as a main event guy, he's got to be fighting exclusively main event talent. And Andrade's got all potential in the world to be a huge main event talent WWE. Right now he's holding the mid-card title. So if they'd done the situation, as I presented on the Raw recap, where we have this match, Andrade versus Drew, you don't spend the time building up Andrade's faction yet. Andrade takes the L, and in response to that loss on Raw, that's when they really start pushing the faction. So parallel to Drew's story with Seth, you have Andrade establishing himself with his guys and Zelina Vega as this kind of ingobernables type faction in WWE. Then in a couple of months, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you come back around after that faction has dominated Raw for several months. Come back around, he steps up to Drew again. I think that would be a pretty fun story if they approach it that way. In the meantime, I think Seth versus Drew, double thumbs up.
I see your point about wanting to get him in there with a main eventer. I think that right now is the perfect time to strike with Andrade in that role, because Seth has been in that role for a long time. And what better way to establish Andrade in this role than to immediately, he forms this great faction. I mean, it's all kind of weird right now anyways with no crowds, and who knows who's available to be at the Performance Center. But I think, establishing Andrade and his cohorts as this faction that's sort of seeping through the WWE. I kind of would even love to see Carrillo join them and turn heel, to be sort of their mid-card guy while Andrade establishes him in the main event. You don't see enough times where guys come up through the mid card to the top. Like, things seem so weird and random these days. How like they escalate up to the main card. We need another main event heel. We need another one, because there just aren't enough. Because after Seth Rollins, who is there?
Well, I think also if you went with the slow burn on Andrade's faction, rather than just spending 3/4 of one Raw building them up and only have Andrade lose in the main event, then you have a situation where you take your time with it. You really build them up over the course of months. So by the time, it's not like a sudden push of Andrade up to the main event for an episode of Raw and then back down to the mid-card or upper mid-card, because he's going to be in and out of the main event scene potentially. You take your time. You really take your time building that faction up. So when 3, 4, 5, 6 months rolls around, they've dominated the show for that whole stretch of time. He steps up to Drew, and you're like, okay, this is totally believable that Andrade could step in the ring against Drew right now and actually win. Whereas last night, we knew there was no chance of that happening. Yeah,
I know, but at the same time, they have history, and that history was directly referenced throughout the show. Now, should that match have happened, in the main event of the same episode where he challenges him? No, I just think that like the first feud should have gone all the way to at least Money in the Bank, where you can have Drew versus Andrade, and then one of Andrade's representatives in the Money in the Bank match. And so, which that's not going to happen because Theory's going to lose. So I don't know. I think that Andrade is ready for the main event. I think that him stepping to Drew, I think, would be a great idea. And then you do Seth at SummerSlam and have Seth meanwhile do other stuff in the meantime. Because once you're done with Seth, it's like maybe at that point, like you're saying with Andrade, maybe at that point he's going to be ready to go by but then you're looking at like SummerSlam. And I don't know. I like Andrade for right now because he brings like other people into the fold. And on top of that, if you're bringing Andrade up to the main event now, you're just sort of fast tracking as well Austin Theory and Angel Garza up with him. And then they can sort of put their stamp on the mid card. I don't know. I like that better because I always love to see when they put a fresh face in a main event scene. I love that because, dude, Andrade he's been basically an upper mid card heel for a long time now.
Yeah.
It's been too long. Like there's been an Andrade slow burn to this point. He's ready to take that step now, not 6 months from now.
I don't disagree with you on that he is potentially ready, but just the way things were booked. I mean, I can only take with what they gave us on Raw last night, where they set us up for something really cool at the end. Andrade is not quite ready to compete really with Drew. That's why I thought, take your time with it. By the time Survivor Series rolls around, 7 months from now, you come back around to it. That's 7 months of building up Andrade, Garza, Theory, who's brand new. Theory is brand new to Raw audiences. They know nothing about this guy. He's brand new to NXT audiences too. Zelina, you take that time to build them together, not just Andrade. Andrade's established. Build them all together. So they're a real force when they step up to Drew. I don't know. I just feel like by that point, they're firmly established. More of a threat to Drew than something that's just shoved together for the first time we see them together on one night. Just my take.
Andrade now, Seth later. Who's next?
Seth now, Andrade later. But right now, Christopher Rampersad, take it away, Christopher.
Hello, Stephen Larson. So my question is, since Hulk Hogan want to make a wrestling appearance or a wrestling match, should they do like a Boneyard style match with The Undertaker? Something that they can edit out or fix up for Hogan? What do you guys think?
Thank you, Christopher Rappersod.
Thank you, Christopher. Go ahead, Steve.
So I'll be honest, like before he had said, we don't need a vaccine, we just need God, I would have been like, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, the dude, he's been, yeah, why not? The Hogan, I think, can still be entertaining. I'm sort of, I feel like he paid his penance for all the crappy things he said before. So yeah, I'd have been down with it. But you can't be going around saying that all these people are dying, they don't really need a vaccine now. You got to just give it to God. That just indicates he's going kind of crazy. And so I'd probably say no, he doesn't need a Boneyard match. But I'll be lying if I said I wouldn't have been entertained by a Hogan Boneyard match prior to this.
Not interested. Just not interested. Not interested in seeing Hogan on my TV screen anymore. Just not. I mean, he might occasionally bring something like the bit with Nakamura. That was funny. But like that's like one intentionally entertaining thing he's done, I don't know, in like 15 years. I mean, at WrestleMania 30, that opening segment, it was funny. We kept screwing up the name of the venue. That was unintentional.
Oh, I like that segment with those guys. I thought it was pretty cool. Because it's like a lot of star power in the ring at the time. That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Still, I'm just kind of done with Hogan, generally speaking. Just kind of done with him. Don't really want to see him on my TV screen. Doesn't really bring a lot. I still get the sense he's just in it for himself. Doesn't really care about anybody else. He just wants the spotlight. And I just that's not what I want for my wrestling now. It's not what I want. That's it. So no, I wouldn't be interested in that though. Also, I mean, even in a Boneyard match, it'd be painful to watch him try to do anything in that. His back is way jacked up, man.
Well, he used a stunt double for most of it.
Even that, man, I don't want to see it. Next, I have a question from A.O. Worm. See what A.O. Worm has to say.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy A.O. Worm here with another match chat question. All right, Steve Larson. So after watching the Vice Dark Side of the Ring episode on Brawl for All, I would have to ask the question of not just in the sense of the Brawl for All, but just like in business aspects. If you guys had a wrestling company, who would you hire as your head writer? Would you hire Jim Cornette or would you hire Vince Russo? Let me know what you guys think. You guys take it easy. Too sweet. Hearty handshake. Too good, me brother.
Thank you, A.O. Worm.
Thank you, Worm.
Ow. It's hit my funny bone. That hurt. This is a predicament A.O. Worm puts us in. Two guys who have their fair share of baggage attached to them if you want to bring them in to be your head writer. That being said, I guess I'd have to go with Vince Russo just because if I hired Jim Cornette, we'd be constantly butting heads because I'd want to do something and he'd be like, well, you can't do that because you're going to expose the business. I don't want to hear that. Whereas I feel like Vince Russo would be, okay, yeah, totally cool.
Uh-huh.
It'd be a situation where he would have some crazy idea and I would tell him, sorry, Vince, we're not going to do that. That's too much.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Cornette, if I had any kind of idea that's even slightly out of his definition of professional wrestling, he would just go off on me. Don't want to deal with that. I guess I'd rather have someone like Vince Russo who may have, 1,000 ideas and 5 good ones, as opposed to Cornette who thinks there's one idea that I have to adhere to. So in terms of creative flexibility, I feel like Vince Russo would probably be the easier person to work with. Maybe.
The problem with Russo that I see is so my answer, and mainly because you wrote yours first, but it's kind of a toss up, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's
not an easy choice.
The problem with Russo that I haven't heard. So the thing about Cornette is that, apparently he's a bit of a hothead. He has some anger management issues. The thing about Russo, seemingly, dude, is that he is a massive liar. Yeah. Like this is something that we have heard. Like, he's never lied to me personally, but this is something that know of. that I know of. This is something that we've heard. It's something that I think was kind of obvious in the Montreal Screwjob episode of Dark Side of the Ring when Russo was taking credit for the Screwjob idea. And it was obvious.
He's probably allergic to the truth, yeah.
Yeah. And so that, to me, would be a big problem. Trying to sleep at night because these are probably some big decisions to be made, and I don't want to be lied to about these things, right?
Yeah.
The thing about Cornette, so I totally understand what you're saying, but the thing is, I think that number one, one way I would be interested in working with Cornette is he is obviously a gold mine of wrestling history. Understanding what I'm getting into, I would say, look, pitch me some ideas that harken back to some of the cooler stuff from like the 1930s or the 1940s. Pitch me some angles that we can revisit, but put kind of a modern twist on it. And I think that the guy would probably be open to something like that. I mean, would I get screamed at a lot? Maybe. That's, possibly. But I don't know. That to me would be more fascinating. And on top of that, the thing that kind of surprises me that I think you'll be not happy about is the fact that Vince Russo evidently doesn't even like wrestling. And you are a huge fan of what? Telling stories in the ring. You didn't want anybody talking on AEW Dynamite. You didn't want any vignettes, no segments. You wanted everything to be told in the ring, and you would be butting heads with Vince Russo left and right with that because you'd be like, dude, you just wrote me a script and there's only 2 3-minute wrestling matches in this.
That's when he has a free hand to do whatever he wants. I'll say this. Vince Russo is at least partially responsible for the greatest pay-per-view of all time, Survivor Series 98. And a lot of the stories on that show were told where? In the ring.
I don't know. You got to revisit. Yeah, I think you need to go back and revisit that pay-per-view.
So,
or maybe you shouldn't, just so you keep it.
It's so perfect in my mind, I don't want to watch it ever again.
I watched the ending of it the other day. I was like, really? This was the ending of this?
Yeah, man.
When McMahon ran into the ring and like called the bell.
Yeah, it was because it was a year after the Montreal Screwjob.
I know what it was, but the fans were like, "Oh, come on."
But I would rather have a freer, more freedom to do what I would want to do, which wouldn't always adhere to traditional wrestling norms.
What are you gonna do that's so out of the norm of tradition, man?
If I want to have someone on there wrestling a bear, then that's what I want to do.
I'll yell at you for that one. Wait a second. That first question, we're talking about Vince McMahon not caring about his wrestlers, and now the promoter and Larson is talking about his wrestlers wrestling a bear?
That's an example. The first
what
example
a hypocrite.
It would probably just be a person in a bear suit, but a really convincing one, so no one would know it's not a real bear. If I want to do something that's just outside the norm, if I want to have I couldn't bring in the Young Bucks at all because Jim Cornette would be like, oh, they exposed the business, they're killing the business.
You're not bringing them in anyways. They're in AEW, man.
They can still work indie dates, maybe. Just using that as an example. It'd have to be believable fights. With stories that would fool the crowd.
What's wrong with that? That sounds amazing to me.
That's one form of wrestling that I find entertaining.
Yeah.
I like various types of wrestling. I like the Young Bucks wrestling too, where it's not just a believable fight. They're doing cool stuff, telling different kinds of stories.
They're spot monkeys, man. They're spot monkeys.
No, they're not. They're telling stories. It might not be stories of working limbs, it's stories of personal relationships.
That's bad. They're ruining the business. Do you want to make money in this business? Do you want to advance this business? I'd bring in New Jack. Jim Cornette, that's my brain trust.
I'm sure Jim Cornette would love that.
Dude, he started laughing. Oh my God, he's stabbing a guy. Oh my God, he's stabbing a guy.
That being said, it's not an easy decision. I'd prefer to have neither of them under my employ as my head writer.
Okay, so from the current, I'd hire Jimmy Jacobs.
Yeah.
That's what I'd do.
Yeah.
Or Pritchard.
No. Mm-mm. Bischoff, how about that?
Hey, Bruce Pritchard is probably the architect of the Otis storyline. So I'm not gonna say goodbye to Bruce Pritchard just yet.
I'd hire Wyndham Rotunda as my head writer.
You know what I would do? My brain trust would be Pritchard and Conrad, because every time Pritchard comes up with a bad idea, Conrad would be there to say, "Bruce, what the fuck?
Bruce, Bruce, what the fuck?" Next guy, question from Philly Flexer.
Hey guys, your boy Philly Flexer at work today. First things first, shout out to Pat. I didn't get to say nothing to you at the an overrun, so it's gonna get better for you, bro. Just keep it up, keep your head up. Anyways, I want to talk about the Street Profits and Bianca Belair. I feel like Bianca is going to be the biggest star out of all of those, but I hope that she doesn't get the Naomi treatment to where she's associated with the Street Profits like Naomi's associated with the Usos, to where if the Usos off TV, Naomi's off TV. That would not be fair to Bianca. So, I don't know, guys. Y'all let me know. Is Bianca going to be a big enough star to where she can stray off on her own and be her own thing? Or is she going to be one of those who's kind of get latched on to a group, and if you don't see that group, you don't see her? Too good, me brothers.
Thank you, Philly Flexer.
Thank you, Philly Flexer. I go
Do
first.
I go first?
I go first. You said
you go
Russo
first.
first.
All right, go ahead then.
All right, man. So I'm going to say that, yeah, I think that it's sort of like a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I think that she will be a big star, but I think she will make them better, and probably vice versa as well. I think that obviously the chemistry she has with her husband is pretty great. I think there's a lot to mine there with Angelo Dawkins being the third wheel guy. I think that I really liked, granted it was one segment, but I really liked that Montez was acting a bit of a clown, and then she says, hey, bring it down a notch. Have you even beaten them yet? And so that's the kind of thing that if she can be the force that sort of keeps them on the straight and narrow, on the winning path, add to that, obviously some of their comedic overtones, the fact that they're all really good at their matches, at their jobs. I just kind of wonder, like, you have a tag team, you got, obviously she could be vying for that women's champion at any time, championship. Do you add another person as like a singles guy? I don't know who that could be, if you would do that. But I think there's maybe something there you could work with in terms of like a 4-person faction. I just don't know who that other piece would be. But no, I think that regardless, she'll be fine. I like her with them. I think they're great, and they're all. You're looking at sort of some big future pieces of the industry right there.
True. I like how they really handled her appearance last night, where they're goofing off too much. She says, "Hey, get serious. You've never beat the Viking Raiders. What'd she say? Get in the game and get that smoke."
Her eye is on the prize, and that's what I like.
Exactly. If she can work to, in storyline, keep them focused. She's such a huge personality, such an engaging personality, has so much charisma. She's gonna endear herself to the audience. She's really good in the ring. So I don't think there's any risk that she could kind of get lost in the shuffle so much. She'll be fine establishing herself in the women's division outside of whatever she's doing with the Street Profits. I think so long as they give her matches and a steady stream of matches in a pretty short order, I think she'll be fine.
Yeah.
Next, got a question from Cult of False Realities.
What's good, Steve Larson, all the friendos out there? It is the Cult of False Realities, back with another Match Chat question. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in a wrestling renaissance because of this pandemic. We don't get to see all the people that we usually do. So my question is, should WWE specifically be using this time to actually push newer talent, people that we haven't seen? And part 2 of this is, who are 3 male, female, and tag team talents that you think should get picked up? And if you could actually find some talent to be put into tag teams as well, because tag team division is looking a little sparse. But thanks, guys.
Thank you, Cult of False Realities. I guess I go first, yeah?
Yes.
I think the most immediate beneficiaries of what's going on in terms of WWE shooting at the Performance Center is anybody who lives locally in Orlando.
Tahuti Miles.
Yeah. He's had a couple TV matches of late. So I think if you live in Central Florida, it's not a situation you have to fly in, worry about quarantining yourself before after TV tapings. You're going to get a lot of work. So that being said, Apollo Crews looks like he's in line for a spot in Money in the Bank. That could be a great showcase for him. Use that as a launching pad to do something more with him. Dude's got all the talent in the world.
Yep.
We've only seen little glimpses of his personality. I always go back to that pose off against Bob Lashley where he was fantastic. He was really, really good in that segment. Give him that kind of spotlight. let him have the type of matches like he had with Alistair a couple weeks back on Raw, because that was really good. Dude has all the ingredients. He just needs to be given an opportunity to showcase all that he can do. Let him come up with a character. Work with Paul Heyman to come up with a character. Something. That's kind of the missing piece. If he has a character, if he has a through line with which he uses for his promos and therefore his matches that's consistent, dude's got all the potential in the world to be a huge star. So push the heck out of Apollo Crews.
Yep. So I'm going to say this. Is it time to push new stars? Sure. Is it also time to mix things up a little bit? I think maybe I would finally pull the trigger on Big E going after the Intercontinental Championship. I think you get the New Day. When is Xavier Woods is not scheduled to come back to like October, right? Or something like that. It's probably a ways off. That's fine. You get the New Day in there against the Artists Collective. You get Big E trying to get that IC title and eventually succeeding, getting it off of Sami Zayn. You start elevating him, not as a solo guy, but as a guy who's going after solo gold within the New Day. I think people would really, really get behind that. Maybe it's the kind of thing you want to wait until you have crowds, because I also kind of feel like it's the kind of thing where you need the crowd groundswell to really emphasize, this storyline. But I definitely think it's time to shake things up. I think it's time that you look at some people and say, okay, well, it's been this long that we've been doing this with them. Maybe we can try something different. That's why I'm willing to give this Mustafa Ali, if it's him, as hacker thing, a try. Hopefully they're letting him take a little bit of the creative on it, and they can make something cool out of it. Not encouraged by the early results, but I want to see a little bit more of it. The bottom line is the guy's a terrific wrestler, and in the end, that's sort of what it boils down to. So I'd like to see Mustafa Ali also. I want to see this play out. We didn't see any of them on SmackDown, I don't think. There wasn't even any glitches on SmackDown, was there?
Nope.
Yeah. So that's what I'd like to see.
All right. Next, we've got a question from Rich.
Friendos, you must take one of 3 major events in wrestling history and delete it and act as if it never happened, and then kayfabe what you think would have happened instead. Your 3 options: Hogan joining the new World Order. Your second option is Austin winning the 96 King of the Ring. And of course, number 3 is the infamous Montreal Screwjob. Couldn't really think of a whole lot. Sporting the Friendo Club, which, by the way, someone asked me yesterday if it was a knock on Bullet Club. So good job, Friendos. But let me know, guys. As always, to you good me brothers, stay safe.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Rich. I go first.
Yeah.
So I would say this. I think that Hogan joining the NWO was essential business for the Monday Night Wars. I think that all the cool back and forth, everybody stepping up their game, sprang from that. So you can't delete that. I'd say that the Montreal Screwjob gave us Evil Vince. You can't delete that. And so I do think the one thing that you could totally get rid of and nothing would have changed would have been King of the Ring. I don't think that Austin's career was predicated on him dropping the 316 promo.
Yeah, you would have got that shirt though.
That's true. I won't disagree with that. But
the shirt was kind of a huge deal.
But yeah, the shirt, he would have had a cool shirt regardless. The shirt didn't make the man, dude, because it was shortly after that look, there was no reason he couldn't have had, number one, this was kind of outlined. They talked about promos. I really can't wait till you watch the Broken Skull with Ric Flair, because Austin talks about promos with Ric Flair. And look, if he didn't say 316 on that day, another day in that time period, he would have dropped a fire promo. They'd have made a shirt out of that, and it would have been off and running regardless. It wasn't connected. Him and Bret Hart, they were still Austin started running down Bret Hart a couple months after the King of the Ring, and that kicked off things. I don't really think it would have mattered. I mean, Triple H was in line to win King of the Ring. Austin probably would have had a good showing. Maybe Austin and Jake Roberts would have had a thing away from King of the Ring, and he still would have dropped that promo. Either way, that one moment was not singular enough to derail the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin had it not happened. I do think that Hogan joining the NWO was an essential moment, and I think the Montreal Screwjob was an essential moment. Now, with the Montreal Screwjob, maybe if Vince had convinced Brett to do a work that he was screwed, and Vince comes out there and plays the character of Mr. McMahon, then maybe that would have been, something that you could get rid of, kind of, and you'd still have things happen. But Vince coming out of that looking like a prick really kicked things off for his character and how he collided with Austin later on. So, yeah, I'm going to say the one thing you can delete is King of the Ring 96. I just don't think it was that essential. I think Austin would have blown up regardless.
No, man, have Sting join the NWO. He's the third man, brother. Because, yeah, the shock of Hogan turning heel was huge, but, Sting turning heel wouldn't have been quite the deal.
It wouldn't have been close.
But I think for the entire run that Sting was at WCW, he was a face the entire time, too. It still would have been pretty shocking to see Sting, the franchise, turn his back on the company. That still would have been pretty cool. And also, you don't have to worry about Sting. He, by all indications, he wasn't a politicker. He was a company guy. You wouldn't have him backstage politicking for his own benefit. At the expense of stories being told, just to one instance, Starrcade 97. Granted, Sting wouldn't have fought himself unless they would have done Sting versus WCW Sting. Then that could have been interesting. But he would have politicked to have the finish changed to make himself look better. He would have told the story as it was written.
There's one problem with your premise, though, man.
What?
They tried to get Sting to be a bad guy at one point, and it just didn't work. I think they literally did it for like a week or two. It was like on a What Culture list. I didn't even remember it.
That was like in the final days of WCW, wasn't it?
Oh, I think it was closer to like 99. I think I could be wrong about that. No, man, Sting, you're almost maybe there. There was one other name. There's one other name that might have had the same impact as Hogan, and it wasn't Sting. Ooh.
Oh, Macho Man?
Could you imagine?
It was a heel for years in WWE.
Could you imagine, though? Could you imagine if prior to Bash at the Beach, right? Macho Man, who was aligned with WCW, and he was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna join with Luger and Sting." If like he was mysteriously laid out in the back, right?
Yeah.
And you got Nash and Hall, and they're beating up on stupid Luger and Sting, right? And then out comes Macho Man, and it's like he's limping and he's working and he's selling it really good, and then he turns on WCW. That would have been a much bigger deal than Sting.
No, I don't think so, because Macho Man is always kind of a wild card anyways. It would not be that huge of a stretch to see him turn on somebody.
He was way cooler than Sting, though. Sting was just kind of a nerd. I don't think he could portray a bad guy. Remember when he was in Wolfpack as like a tweener? He just had
but it was the whole vibe of Wolfpack was too goofy for that. Imagine if he had done Crow Sting, not talking, beating people up, and just did that as leader of NWO, just like menacing. Man of few words. That could have been cool.
Yeah, but that sort of doesn't vibe with like the party guy atmosphere of the Outsiders, does it?
No, but it could be an interesting dichotomy or give and take there, where you have the Outsiders who can be scary in their own right when they want to be, but also kind of casual and a little jokey. But at the end of the day, they're going to beat you up. Whereas Sting, he puts forth no pretense that he's fun by any stretch of the imagination. He just wants to beat you up.
Okay, for the sake of this kind of a fun argument, I'm going to make another point.
All right.
Completely. I've already destroyed your argument, but I'm going to make another one to pile.
Well, I have to give you Austin. You're the Austin guy, so I'll just try. We can't have the same answer.
Wait, Austin? What are you talking about, Austin?
The King of the Ring.
Wait a second. You wrote your answer down first.
I know. That's what I said. I was going to take Austin because you're the Stone Cold guy. You love Stone Cold.
Oh.
We can't have the same answer for this. That's not fun.
Okay, wait a second. What is your real answer?
It'd probably be Austin.
I thought you were being real here.
No, I'm trying to put forth a fun argument. That's it.
Okay, cool. Okay. Here's my other point then. Wait, so are you believing what I'm saying right now?
Whatever, just go ahead.
Okay, listen. Hogan, the thing about Hogan, the reason why Hogan was the perfect third man, brother.
I understand 100% why Hogan was a perfect guy. I understand.
Why?
You don't have to convince me of it.
Tell me.
Because he was the face of wrestling and was a good guy for a decade. I understand.
And on top of that, because he had, like, I think everybody knew he had, like, creative control. It's like, he's on the bad guy side now.
It made all. I know why Hogan was a
Sorry,
perfect
man.
guy.
I didn't mean to get you all worked up there.
I'm not worked up. You're starting to get me worked up now, though.
Oh, no. You're getting worked up?
Because you're insistent I am worked up, but I'm not. But now you're pushing my buttons a little bit. Let's move on to Stephen M's question before this gets out of hand.
Okay. All right.
You done?
I'm done. I love you, man. I'm sorry. Thought we were having a fun wrestling discussion, and then you started yelling at me.
No fun. You made it not fun anymore. I was trying to make it fun by having a different answer, but then you made it not fun.
Oh, no.
Stephen M's got a question. Let's see what Stephen M has to say.
What's going on, friendos? It's been a minute, and I keep forgetting to submit questions and the day change and stuff like that. So mine this week is, who do you want to see get one of those star-making performances if in AEW / maybe WWE as well? From, say, we've seen Apollo Crews and Aleister Black, and now we've seen Sean Spears kick out 2 crossroads, which was insane. That popped me. So who do you think, like, and Britt Baker as well, on the losing end, but like that sort of starts rising their stock? And also, what do you want to see from the final the elite deletion? I mean, with Chris Jericho, should we see the different iterations of Jericho?
Thank you, Stephen M.
Thank you, Stephen M.
Oh, I go first. Buddy Murphy. I think. Murphy.
Murphy.
Bill
Murphy.
I think he's going to have a hell of a match against Ray next week on Raw. We've already seen him have get some good rub from Roman in a loss on SmackDown. He's gotten a good rub from Daniel Bryan in a win. He just needs to have matches on TV on a more regular basis. B, start winning some of those matches after getting the rub in a loss. So I think he'll have a heck of a match against Ray this week. Hopefully give some momentum, carry through. He should have a feud with Seth Rollins. I think those two guys could have some really good matches rather than just dropping this whole disciple thing, seemingly.
Man, I'm not convinced that he's going to lose to Ray. I mean,
I'm not convinced either.
He probably will, but I'm not convinced, man. They might have him go ahead.
It's entirely possible. As the elite deletion thing, give us all the versions of Jericho. I think that'd be pretty fun.
That's a great idea. I really like that.
Unless there's certain aspects of certain Jericho characters they can't implement because WWE has some IP rights to it or something. Otherwise,
hey, that didn't stop them from doing that at
I know,
whatever it was,
Double or Nothing. Yeah,
Double or Nothing. I'm gonna say this, man. I'm gonna say Austin Theory is gonna look really good in a loss against Aleister Black, and I wonder, boy, it'd be shocking. What about this? I'm going to change my... Oh, that's... Okay, that's different. What if you really want to assert... Look, Andrade just jumped out to Drew in like 5 minutes last night, right? On Monday.
Mm-hmm.
What if, to get a win that means something, what if that faction interferes and costs Aleister Black the match?
It's entirely possible.
That gets a thing.
I considered that.
With Aleister Black into a thing with Andrade.
Yeah.
And then Aleister Black picks up his first U.S. title, and then who goes up to the main event scene? Andrade. Figure it out, man.
There you go.
As far as the elite deletion, I want one thing, man. I want Vanguard 1 to join the inner circle. Look, all these contracts are tying up these wrestlers for far too long. I want to go back to the days of the 1-year contract. I want to go back to the days where these wrestlers are on SID deals, where basically they just go wherever they want, whenever they wanted to.
Sid would just quit, man. He wasn't on like a month-to-month or a 10-day contract. He was in the middle of probably a multi-year deal. I was like, no, I'm just not showing up anymore.
And nobody cared.
It's the thing. I don't think no one cared.
Yeah.
They're like,
I want them to go back to that.
Yeah, Sid could be a main eventer, but he's not going to move the needle for anybody, so just let him go. You know?
You think the fact that the WWE's business model is falling apart, that's going to lead to like some shorter, smaller contracts, isn't it?
Yeah, and less money.
Yeah.
Next, got a bunch of text questions. First from Doc Hensla. He asks, so Seth gets the title shot after a loss, but what about Kevin Owens? What program do you believe he will do next? Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I know I just contradicted this, but because I think it might be Aleister Black versus Andrade if they cost him that match against Austin Theory. That being said, Kevin Owens versus Andrade for the U.S. title. He alluded becoming a prize fighter again. Andrade is basically trying to do the same thing that Seth was doing. He's amassing his own group of followers. Maybe Kevin Owens wants to stop this before it gets too bad.
I'm going to say Kevin Owens can still get in on this business where Seth steps up to Drew, and Kevin Owens like, hey, I beat you. I may have beat you, but you know, I guess he did just say, you know, I'm past Seth. I'm looking on to be the prize fighter or go after the people like Seth. Maybe he realized, well, the specter, the threat of Seth is not gone. I need to get involved in this.
Yeah, sure.
And so we get some a triple threat match or something.
You get endless 6-man tag matches.
Yeah, but as I said earlier, it makes all the sense in the world for me, at least, for Seth to feel like, oh, I'm just going to skip to the head of the line because he feels like he's fighting for something larger, more important than just the title. But the title validates everything that he wants to do.
Agreed.
Next, Aaron Washer. He asks, after watching Dark Side of the Ring Brawl for All, I kept thinking about what Cornette said to Russo about him blowing $5 million, which Aaron presumes is mostly Dr. Death's contract. I think that was just a number he pulled out of what he thought the company could have made off Dr. Death. Probably short of Stone Cold and maybe, I don't know, maybe just Stone Cold. I don't think anybody was making that kind of money back then.
Yeah, no.
So his question is, what are 5 other prominent big money contract flops in wrestling? I got a few. Steiner in WWE. You just have one, so I'll just run through mine real quick.
Sure.
Goldberg's first WWE run. Vader in WWF. Warriors return to WCW.
Oh, that's a good one. I wonder what his actual pay was. Probably huge.
Probably huge.
That's a good one.
And then finally, Brett, when he went to WCW. They gave him a ton of money and didn't do anything with it.
And he was just, and he was like a shell of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those last two especially are good. I wonder, I would suspect Vader didn't get that much money to go to WWE.
Oh, probably not, but I would think that at least in some circles, wrestling reporting, that was probably seen as a pretty huge acquisition for WWE based on what he had done in Japan and then WCW. You know, he was just booked as basically unbeatable for long stretches. So,
this is absolutely shocking. Hogan's 1998 contract for WCW is like 1998, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, you already had a wealth of younger guys who were just like hot, right? Mm-hmm. What kind of leverage did Hogan really have? Would Vince have really wanted Hogan back? Like if WCW said if they said, look, we like you, Hogan, and we can use you. If Bischoff had been like somewhat divorced emotionally of Hogan, which apparently he wasn't.
Yeah. If
he had said, hey, look, we love you, but this creative control clause is eating us alive. It's creatively speaking, it's destroying us. Mm-hmm. Because it was honestly like, I understand that there are a lot of other things. We did a whole top 10 list ages ago, the things that killed WCW. But honestly, creatively speaking, and I do believe that a lot of it just boils down to creative. Yeah. His creative control clause, where's that Nash gif? Doesn't work for me, brother. Put such a chokehold on the company. And in 1998, he had sort of done everything, and maybe they just thought, oh, the NWO is the biggest thing. If we lose Hogan now, that's a big chunk of the NWO. Exactly I get that. I mean, that's the year that he had his big match against Goldberg. He put Goldberg over. Okay, so he puts Goldberg over, right? At that point, you say, Hogan, you've done your service to us. This is a business. You can have a bunch of money, but you can't have creative control.
Yeah,
and that would have been a deal breaker for Hogan. Probably he would have probably gone home.
Yeah.
So I actually pulled up his contract here, and it's a doozy of one. If I can find what I did with it, man, why did I not keep that up somewhere? Is this it? Here, no, that's a bunch of cheetah coloring book pages. Let's see here. Hulk Hogan, 1998 WCW contract. Here you go. Maxim has it, and this was leaked about 5 years ago. So just for signing the contract, he got $2 million. It was a signing bonus. He got 15% of sales of every pay-per-view event with a minimum guarantee of $675,000.
Oh my gosh.
They were running monthly pay-per-views, right?
Wow. That's about $6-7 million right there.
Hogan made 25% of gross ticket sales every time he wrestled at a Nitro, a Thunder, or a house show with a minimum guarantee of $25,000.
Wow.
Let's see here. So the contract granted WCW rights to use the Hogan's name and image on promotional products, but it explicitly allowed him to independently use his name wherever he wanted. So, and it said, and this is in the contract, and likeness to promote pasta restaurants, sandwiches, and suntan oil. So evidently those are the things that he wanted to do himself.
Interesting.
Every time he wore an NWO shirt on TV or in photo shoots, he'd get $20,000. This is small beans, but he got $175 per diem for traveling with the WCW. That's like nothing.
Yeah. It's not
And then, of course, creative control.
wow.
That's like the worst contract ever.
Did he have a base salary on top of all that, or is it just appearance based?
Seemingly, I think it's just it was appearance based.
All right.
But holy crap.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. Plus creative control. That's insane.
Plus creative control, man.
Next up, Tim Morris has a text question. He asks, how long do you think it'll be before Roman feels it's safe enough to come back to wrestle again, considering it could be well over a year before we see a vaccine for COVID-19?
I would think. See, the problem is they're in Florida, and they're not doing a whole lot of the necessary work to make sure that it's safe to do anything there. I would think that you would either need, easy test kits that just make sure everybody tests before they go into the facility, before they're allowed in. Like a 15-minute test kit. You have a little tent set up. Or there's a vaccine. I don't think you can run any risk at all whatsoever.
Yeah, there can't be any risk involved. Yeah. His health has to come first. I'm sure he's made a good chunk of change from WWE. Some money, I would assume, be no issue in the short term. He just needs to look out for himself.
Yep.
And so I would anticipate that he would probably take his time. He understands the magnitude of what's going on. And there's no reason for him to rush back. None.
The longer you're gone, the bigger the response you'll get when you return. Maybe he can get creative control clause in his contract too.
There you go. Next up, Patrick Sparks. What actual wrestler's life would you compare the movie The Wrestler to?
You go first.
Oh, Ric Flair.
Okay.
I feel like Ric Flair like he would just said was it Crown Royal? No, the one before that, last fall, where they having Team Flair versus Team Hogan, that tag match. Like that he was cleared for bumps so soon after having that, like that huge health scare.
Yeah.
And kind of the general theme of The Wrestler is Ray of the Ram's willing to die to wrestle.
Yeah.
Kind of feel like that might be the same with Ric Flair.
I wonder, so to me, elements of the day-to-day and like his Randy the Ram's fictional history feels like Jake the Snake to me.
Totally.
Because, he participated in like his universe's version of WrestleMania on the grand stage. So I was thinking maybe Savage, but Savage made a ton of money. I'm not sure if Jake ever had that one big payday like so many others did.
I don't think so.
Like by the time
that feud he's supposed to have with Hogan, and they had the turn on him, and Vince was like, "This is gonna be huge." He comes backstage, it's not happening, And
But
Jake said that was supposed to be his huge payday. Yeah.
Even when people were cashing in big time with WWF and WCW, those wrestlers were getting the big guarantees. He showed up a little earlier in '96. I don't think he got a big payday then,
No,
and he didn't show up.
WWF, no.
And then he didn't show up, and I don't think he wrestled in WCW after that, did he?
No, I don't believe so.
I don't think he did. So I think he missed out on like the big paydays, those big Hogan paydays.
Yeah.
Because he was probably all messed up or something. And so when you see Randy the Ram in the trailer, and and I don't think Jake was ever on steroids, but Randy the Ram was.
Yeah.
So I think it's like an amalgam of a bunch of them, but thematically I see where you're coming with the Ric Flair reference.
Yeah. You get the feeling that Ric Flair, I don't think he would actually risk life or death being in the ring. But I don't think it's a stretch to imagine a world where he could.
But of the two of them, who's most likely to be working at a deli?
Oh, Jake.
You want some cheese, lady? Caesar.
You want to sew some salad? How about Caesar?
Fuck.
Luis Arias is next. Should NXT be included in the Money in the Bank ladder match, or would it be better if they had their own? All right, same time, Steve. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Their own. Yes. Sorry, let's do it again with the word yes.
Oh, yeah. No, they should be in the Money in the Bank ladder match, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, they should be in the one on the pay-per-view, not their own.
Oh, I said their own. I meant yes.
All right. Yeah, you did say their own. I'm like, it's different than what your answer is written down. I see your answer.
Yeah, no, and stop being half in. Here's one of the okay things this has truly leveled the playing field between main roster and NXT now because they're all wrestling in the same place.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it's like...
And based on the Raw ratings that just came out, they're pretty close to having the same numbers, too.
Shit, what is it? I didn't even see.
It averaged 1.9.
Oh. It sucks. That's why. In the end, it just sucks.
It does suck. One final text question from Dwayne Huff. He says, assuming that things go back to normal soon, does WWE go to Saudi Arabia? I think even though they have a 10-year deal, I don't think they do. They need money. That's plainly evident. Given the losses from WWE, from WrestleMania, whatever they're going to lose from canceling live events. The Saudi Arabian shows, that's a huge payday for the company. And when they're in even when things were going well for them financially, they were going over there. Right now, things are not going well for them financially. So the first opportunity they get to go over there to get that massive, massive check, they are going to do it.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I just wonder if that deal is solid anymore, man.
I have no idea.
I don't know. But yeah, dude, if they can, if Saudi Arabia, if they, for whatever reason, assuming they're taking this thing seriously too, they've got all these, sheltering orders too. If they, for whatever reason, fast track things and they have a big arena thing, Vince is going to jump on it. He'll be like, hey, can we always, if he right now could have a venue with fans week to week, it doesn't matter where in the world it was, he would do it.
You'd have to consider it.
He would consider it. He wouldn't have to consider it because he shouldn't be doing shows in the first place right now, but I would assume he would consider it, yes. He would totally consider it, dude.
Yep.
Anyways, that's it.
That's all.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We definitely appreciate it. Hey man, I hope there's no hard feelings with the whole NWO Austin thing.
No, I got to sleep on it. I don't know.
Really? Is this the end of going in Raw? Are we no longer an essential business? Is this no longer an essential relationship? Essential friendship?
I don't know, man. I'm confused about a lot of things right now. I haven't left my house in weeks, really. The walls they're coming in on me. I need some clarity right now. So let me sleep on it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay?
Hey man, I love you. Just know that I'm always here for you, okay?
All right, that's fine.
Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
I love you too. Bye.